Welcome back, guys, to SincerelyJD. I know I've been gone for a really long time, but I got some content for y'all today. And actually, this is going to have a part one and a part two. So you see, I'm spoiling y'all right now. You're welcome. The champ is here! But today, we're going to talk about age gap relationships. So firstly, to set the record straight, I think age gap relationships are healthy. I feel like it just makes sense. You know what I mean? Going back to what we always have known throughout life, throughout learning, throughout development, women always mature faster than men. That's always been the consensus. So if that's the case, it would only make sense for me to be with an older man, since we would be kind of on the same maturity frequency. Now let's dig into the science about it all. I got my notes here. Ain't nothing really written down on these papers, but I wrote all my notes down on a napkin, and it's a little ghetto, so I'm just hiding the napkin behind these. Now let's dig a little bit deeper and go into our biology. A woman, quote unquote, becomes a woman when she has her first menstrual cycle. Men, if you don't know, when a woman has her period, it is basically her body telling her that she is at a reproductive age. So without having a period, in most cases, obviously there are nuances, and there's people who miss their periods, and there are hormonal imbalances, PCOS and things like that, but for the most part, having your period is a signal that you are able to reproduce. So our bodies are telling us that we are able to have a baby. We are a woman now. In developed countries, the average age for a woman's period, according to the University of San Francisco and PubMed, the National Library of Medicine, is 10 to 16 years in developed countries. I'm gonna take y'all back to geography. Y'all should know what a developed country is versus a undeveloped country. But the average age of a girl's first period is around 10 to 16 years old. However, back in the day, the average age for a woman to get her period in around 1840s was 16 and a half to 17. And now, of course, the average age is around 12 to 13. So in the middle of that 10 to 16-year-old mark that I mentioned earlier. So women are getting their periods faster than they were back in the day. So we are becoming, quote unquote, women earlier than we used to get our periods. Additionally, we have historically started puberty before our male counterparts. So we are becoming women faster than men are becoming men. And it's always been that way. But let's just say it was hunter-gatherer days. When it came time for a woman to settle down or choose a mate or be with a mate, according to the Mansfield Clinic, a woman would choose an older man because he had a stronger and more established societal role. So biologically, evolutionarily speaking, we have always chose a mate that was older than us because of what the man can provide and his role in society. So when it came to living in either small villages or whatever, the older men obviously tended to be stronger or have more or able to get more cattle, have more huts in the village or whatever it was. So obviously if we want to have kids, which our body tells us we're having a period, we're ready to have a kid, if we're ready to have a kid, it only made sense to mate with somebody who was older than us. So that's, evolutionary speaking, that's how it's always been. If you have a line of all these beautiful women, and let's just say the man was 27 years old. At 27 years old, would you choose a woman that was 35, 30? Or would you go for a younger woman, 21, 20? Let's keep going. So according to Stanford.edu, men actually do have larger brains than women. However, the The two hemispheres, so the left and the right hemisphere of the woman's brain, talk to each other more than the men's brains do. So when it comes to men's brain and the hemisphere, you have the brain like this. Men's brains go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Women's brains cross like this. Both sides of our brain communicate way more than a man's brain. And what that means is we are more emotionally intelligent. When I was doing the research on this, it showed that women have more stronger memories, more vivid memories. We can remember more clearly. That's why women tend to do better on like memory tests, memory and reasoning tests. Because of that reason, because we have that emotional intelligence, we are able to be with somebody that is older than us, being that we have that emotional maturity within us. It would be easier for a woman to date an older man versus a older woman to date a younger man. Moreover, Washington University School of Medicine in St. Louis says women's brains appear to be 3 years younger than men's brains. The brains, our brains actually tend to shrink as we get older. However, men's brains diminish faster than women's. So again, biologically, as a man, your brain goes faster than a woman's. So you're actually more likely to develop Parkinson's, as well as more likely to have, what is it, when people don't really want to talk to people? Men are more likely to have that where they don't really want to talk. Oh my gosh, I can't remember it, but I was looking it up. So yeah, so as you get older, your brain tends to shrink. But even with that being the case, even if you put a woman side by side with a man and they have the both at the same brain age. So don't think about physical age, think about brain age. You put them side by side, both of their brains are 27 despite their physical age. If you look at the science, his brain will still deteriorate faster than hers. So if that is the case and you are a man that plans to have children or will have children with a woman, it would make sense for you to choose a woman that's younger than you, seeing that you're probably more likely to you're more likely to die before her. Even if you guys are the same age, your brain is probably going to go before hers. If you know that you're going to die first mentally and naturally than a woman, why would you choose a woman that's older than you or the same age as you when you could choose a woman that's younger than you that will outlive you and continue taking care of your children? It's genetics, it's biology, it's evolution. Okay, there are some studies that support age gap relationship as well. According to deakin.edu.au, over 3/4 of couples where younger women were partnered with older men, they report more satisfying partnerships. So the science and multiple sites that I've seen that people who have age gap relationships and the man is older and the woman is younger are more happier than people who are closer in age. And let's just go back to culture. It really just depends on where you're from. When it comes to like Caribbean as well as Latino cultures, women do tend to get older men. Women too do tend to start faster. Many of your aunties, your grandmas, your mom's friend that you called auntie, how many of them you know had an age gap relationship? And I feel like the US just puts this pressure on age because of the whole, first of all, yeah, y'all got I'm not really sure what it is. I think you could, well, back, I don't know if it's still the same, but I'm pretty sure once you turn 18, you can buy cigarettes. They might have recently raised that to 21, but I could have sworn it was 18 once upon a time. So you mean to tell me I'm 18 and I could buy cigarettes I'm 15 and I can drive, but I can't date somebody that's 7 years older than me when I'm 18 because it's grooming. I can buy a cancer stick. I can drive a vehicle that's what, over 10,000 pounds. I can be responsible for people's lives on the road, but I can't be with someone who is 7 years older than me. It's weird if I'm 18 and the guy is 26. He's grooming me if we're together for 4 years and then we end up having a baby or getting married. Obviously, there are outliers. Obviously, there are people who are, you know, manipulative and things like that. But if we really look at it, I would say that women are more manipulative than men. I would say a young girl, I would say an older woman can take advantage of a younger man before a man takes advantage of a woman. I feel like women are the smarter gender when it comes to manipulation and emotions and things like that. So when it comes to that whole word grooming, most times I don't think it's grooming. Y'all know, how many of y'all watching this right now were a young girl and you were with an older man by choice? And you might have even pursued him, right? Like, how many of us really went? And then the whole, how many of you guys that are men had a older woman blatantly hit on you, constantly hit on you, persuade you? I bet you there's more men that got hit on and persuaded by older women than girls who chose to be with older men. Because I know me, there was once upon a time that I was dating somebody older than me. I kind of shot my shot, but it was like a very, very sly shot, like a little laugh and or something like that. You know, men, you know when a woman is interested in you. Anyway, I kind of did something like that first before he was even interested in that way. I mean, now that I'm older, you know, I'm in my mid 20s. Now that I'm older, there are older guys that come up to me now, yes. But back when I was younger, the older men that I had encounters with, they didn't just blatantly come up. I kind of opened the door for it, you know what I mean? On top of that, most of the men that I know, the women, the people that they lost their virginity to was a woman older than them. So a lot of men don't see it as being taken advantage of or manipulated or groomed because you feel like, okay, I'm a man. That's what's supposed to happen. But I know a lot of men who said they didn't know what they were doing. It was their babysitter. It was their sister's older friend. She just came and then she did that and then that was that. You know what I'm saying? So I do think that women are the smarter, more emotional, intelligent species, and it's in the statistics that we are more emotionally wired and we're smart in that aspect. So I think if you seen a older woman with a younger man, she would have groomed him before an older man would have groomed a young woman. But again, aside from biology and evolution, I think it also has to go with who you grew up with. If you had a male figure in your life that was like a young uncle, maybe 2 years older than you might like people that are closer to your age. You know, I grew up with my grandparents. You know, my grandfather was my male figure in my life, you know. So I genuinely do like or am attracted to men that are older because that is the model of the person that I had in front of me at the time. Now there is another theory I think plays into age gap relationships, and I think that's the birth order theory, and I'm going to get more into that on part 2. So wrapping this up, I definitely support age gap relationships. Obviously it's your discretion, I think, of what you think is appropriate and what isn't. Obviously there are some times where you can see where it's not kind of right, but then you can never underestimate a woman. A lot of women choose to be with older men because biologically speaking, evolutionary speaking, we did seek out the men that was the fittest and the most prepared to have a family and carry on our legacy and have children with, someone who can provide for us, someone who can protect us. And nothing wrong with that. And even though things have changed, society has changed, if you take away all of the social norms and we just go back to the basics, men would like a woman that's younger than them. Women would like a man that's older than them. That's just, I feel like that's the general consensus. I think most people can agree on that. So stay tuned for part 2 when I go over age gap relationships as well as the birth order theory. Thank you guys for tuning in to Sincerely JD's. Bye.